Hot take, Miranda Priestley wasn't the villain. The real villain in The Devil Wears Prada is the belief that leadership requires emotional erasure. Yeah, let me say that differently. The belief that success requires sacrifice and for you to lose yourself in the process. Because every time this movie comes back into the conversation, I hear the same things. She was so cruel. She was impossible. She was toxic. But what I also see is something more uncomfortable. I see a system that rewards women who suppress themselves and punish women who protect themselves. Yeah, you see it too. You just don't want to admit it. In fact, let me ask you, why are powerful women still labeled as difficult? What about this? Why are self-protective women, like the ones that have boundaries or the ones that don't really talk about their personal lives, why are they seen as cold? And why are women expected to lead and emotionally absorb everything around them? It irks me. In fact, before we go any further, if this conversation already feels familiar, I want to invite you to something supportive, a 7-day mini challenge where we weave small habits, doable habits into your day to help you reconnect with yourself and start untangling your worth from the work you do. Like, this isn't about being less ambitious. Let me be clear. It's about becoming more anchored. But you don't need more discipline. You need reconnection. The link is below. Join us. This is the part that matters right here because we don't talk enough about it in corporate spaces. Power isn't neutral. In fact, in most organizations, women are expected to perform excellence, manage emotions, theirs and everyone else's around them, and be endlessly available without being too much. Come on, you know I'm right. And that is not leadership. That is invisible labor. And it's really stressful. And it's like the more capable you are, the more that labor you are quietly assigned. Like if we look at just the movie as a contrast, right? Miranda had boundaries. Andy had availability, and Miranda protected her time, her energy, her authority. What did Andy do? She had to earn hers, earn her place by endlessly being adaptable and flexible. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Guess who held the power? Yeah, this is where the self-leadership, it gets real because power doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being anchored. Are you still with me? In fact, if you're realizing that you've been confusing emotional labor with leadership, I want you to comment anchor below because just by typing it, you are signaling change. In fact, say it out loud if you can, because anchored leaders, they're liberated and they don't over explain. They don't over function. They don't earn safety through exhaustion. Now, this is important because self-leadership, it is not becoming harsh. It's not shutting down emotionally. It's not copying the dominant masculine energy or leadership styles that we see. Real self-leadership, it is regulating your nervous system, having a routine so that way you can show up calmly instead of always on alert, choosing response over reaction. What about letting discomfort exist without rushing to fix it? A lot of women I work with in my workshops, they aren't too emotional. They're over responsible. I want you to ask yourself, where am I over justifying instead of just standing firm, instead of being still? If you look at this from a business standpoint, this matters more than we even want to admit because organizations, groups, we say that we want confident women leaders, strategic thinkers. They say that they want decision executives, decisive executives, right? But what do they reward? They still reward emotional buffering, over availability, and someone who's the glue that holds everyone together. And that is a contradiction that doesn't just burn women out, it quietly weakens the leadership pipeline because women don't leave when they're tired. No, no. They leave when they stop recognizing themselves. Boundaries, they aren't a personal preference. That's why I gotta tap on that again. because they're actually business decisions. And what you respond to immediately, what you let wait, what you stop emotionally absorbing, this is self-leadership in action. You know, I could perfect a system, a process. I could, get my personnel to work in perfect synergy. But unless I gave it space to work, was I really being a leader or a micromanager, right? So here's the real question. What would happen if your boundaries actually match your title, right? Some people can do it, but some of us just can't figure that out. And this is the part that most people miss. In the movie, Andy didn't leave because the job was hard. She left because she didn't recognize herself anymore. And that's where burnout actually begins, not with exhaustion, but with self-betrayal. The most dangerous career move, it isn't ambition. It's success without self-leadership. And that's how women end up powerful on paper, but in real life, they are depleted. If leadership costs you your health, your clarity, or your identity, yeah, that's not leadership. That's a slow leak. So let me leave this with you. Where are you leading everyone else but abandoning yourself? And if this resonated, comment anchor again below because naming that shift, that's how you start making it. And if you're ready to lead without self-abandonment, this is the work that I do for individuals, for leaders, and for organizations that want women to thrive without burning out. You don't need to disappear to be powerful. You just need to come home to yourself.